Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajikacharya Ashtotar that Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajikacharya Ashtotar that Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad-gītā Ki Jai. The Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. So we will be on page 226 today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 31st day of January 2024 in San Diego, we're reading Srimad Bhagavad-gītā as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are finishing up chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge. We're on text 41 on page 226. Yoga, Sannyasta, Karmanam, Jnana, Sanchinna, Sanshayam, Atmavantam, Nakarmani, Nibadhanti, Dhananjaya, Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam, Jnana Sanchinna Sanshayam, Atmavantam Nakarmani, Nibadhanti Dhananjaya, Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam, Jnana Sanchinna Sanshayam, Atmavantam Nakarmani, Nibadhanti Dhananjaya, Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam, Jnana Sanchinna Sanshayam, Atmavantam Nakarmani, Nibadhanti Dhananjaya, Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam, Jnana Sanchinna Sanshayam, Atmavantam Nakarmani, Nibadhanti Dhananjaya, Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam, Jnana Sanchinna Sanshayam, Atmavantam Nakarmani, Nibadhanti Dhananjaya, Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam, Jnana Sanchinna Sanshayam, Atmavantam Nakarmani, Nibadhanti Dhananjaya. No? Ladies? Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam, Jnana Sanchinna Sanshayam, Atmavantam Nakarmani, Nibadhanti Dhananjaya, Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam, Jnana Sanchinna Sanshayam, Atmavantam Nakarmani, Nibadhanti Dhananjaya, Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam, Jnana Sanchinna Sanshayam, Atmavantam Nakarmani, Nibadhanti Dhananjaya. Anyone online want to try?
Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam,
Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam,
Jnana Sanchinna Sanshayam,
Jnana Sanchinna Sanshayam,
Atmavantam Nakarmani,
Atmavantam Nakarmani,
Nibadhanti Dhananjaya.
Nibadhanti Dhananjaya. Word by words, I'll read it myself. Yoga, by devotional service in karma yoga. Sannyasta, one who has renounced. Karmanam, the fruits of actions. Jnana, by knowledge. Sanchinna, cut. Sanshayam, doubts. Atmavantam, situated in the self. Na, never. Karmani, works. Nibadhanti, do bind. Dhananjaya, O conqueror of riches. Translation. One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his actions, and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus he is not bound by the reactions of work, O conqueror of riches. Purport. One who follows the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita as it is imparted by the Lord, the personality of Godhead himself, becomes free from all doubts by the grace of transcendental knowledge. He, as a part and parcel of the Lord, in full Krishna consciousness, is already established in self-knowledge. As such, he is undoubtedly above bondage to action. Om jnana timirandasya jnanandana salakaya chakshu unmilitam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, this is the result of acting in full knowledge of what we are, the self, and who is the actual enjoyer of the fruits of our action. The general tendency in ordinary life, completely devoid of this transcendental knowledge from the Bhagavad-gītā, is to identify oneself with the body and to try to enjoy the senses of the body. That also includes the subtle senses, the mind. And we go through life in this way. Practically everyone in the world is doing that. The problem with that is that the basis of the whole activity is false, meaning that we are not really this body. The body is simply you may say, as a costume, that we're enacting a certain role to play, but it's a temporary thing, just like on a stage or a Halloween party or something. You may have a very nice costume in which you really mastered the intricacies of the personality you're imitating, and then you go to the costume ball, or you go to the party and something, and no one knows who it is. You know, you're so good. You've disguised your voice, and you've got all of the, and so you're acting that way. Now imagine if you were so good that you had a party every day, and before long you actually think you are that person whose costume you're wearing. That can happen. Maybe you get a bump on the head, and you know who you are. You look in the mirror, and there you are, President Lincoln or whatever, maybe. So the point is that we're not the body. This is the first lesson of the Bhagavad-gītā. Bhagavad-gītā means the song of God. And why is he taking the trouble to speak this knowledge and make it available here? We understand from so many shastra that he has his own world, Vaikuntha, the world where it's free of all anxiety. Everyone lives eternally there, full of knowledge and bliss. You know, we learn that in detail. So what does he have to come here for? And the reason is because he's the universal father. We're all wayward children who have wandered away from the protection of the spiritual world by turning our back on him and trying to forget him and become little controllers and little gods ourselves. But that's not possible. The nature of the soul is that it is never born, never dies. We're eternal and we're fully conscious beings, but we're very, very minute, infinitesimal. And although we never die and we keep transmigrating from one to another, we're not really built to be independent. We don't have an independent source of power to combat this, to make it on our own way in this material world. We can for a while arrange it with our superior intelligence, but nature always wins out in the end. And the proof of that is that everybody dies. Every body dies, but no soul dies. You see? So then the question arises, well, or as Krishna described here, we're all in ignorance. We're covered. But Krishna has different energies. One of them is called the Maya energy. It's Mahamaya, by which we become convinced that we are this identity, material identity. We have our relatives. We have our place of birth. We have our name. We have our address. Look in the mirror. Keep seeing the same person. That must be me. And so you identify with it. But gradually, the change goes on, and eventually you come to the point in every physical body where it just doesn't work anymore. It's just such a complex machine. People want to know the proof of God. I think our own bodies are the proof of God. So intricate, so amazing that it, you know, by nature, I guess everyone gets it. You know, you get little injuries, little cuts and everything. And so, okay, put the mercurochrome on there, what it is, and you have a little Band-Aid, you know. But then after a few days, it's healed up. The body has this self-healing power. And then we have this system of defense called the immune system, right? We all became very aware of the immune system during the pandemic, right? Well, how can we enhance it? How can we give it some reinforcements, a vaccine? I don't want to get into an argument on whether the vaccines are valid or not. I got every vaccine I could. I really believe that they worked, and I didn't get it. I did get a mild case last rhodostomy. It was kind of disappointing, but it lasted just a few days, and hopefully I won't get it again. But it's a battle. It's a battle. The material energy has so many problems that can easily cause, like there's another atmospheric river coming. Did you know that? The last one, somehow, there was no flooding here. South of us, west of us, and north of us, there was flooding. But here, there was no flooding. We may not luck out next time. Although I must say, I don't want to say the patron saint, but the worshipable Lord here in this temple is Giridhari, Radha Giridhari. Giridhari means he who lifts the hill on his pinky. You see the little statues in every corner. There's a commemorating. Anyway, it's a long story, but there was a huge inundation because the Lord of there's a God, there's a person behind all the elements. There's a God of the waters, the God of the earth, Bhumi Devi, there's Varuna, and there's Indra, who's in charge of the weather. And so he became very upset because his sacrifice was interrupted. And so he poured down catastrophic rain and hail, big blocks of ice, in Vrindavan, Krishna's home, in order to annihilate the whole community. Indra he flies off the handle, so to speak. So Krishna, in order to crush the pride of Indra, and in order to enliven his devotees and show you don't need to worship anyone else but me, he very easily, on one pinky, not the right pinky, the strong one, but the left pinky, he lifted the hill. It must have been numerous tons, but God can do anything. And for 7 days and nights, everybody was simply watching him, and he was enjoying relating to them. So this is God. So maybe, if it happens again that there's huge flooding in National City and up in Escondido and up in the north, but we're we have a little drizzle here. That's what's going on. Krishna's protecting. So if you want to get through the weekend, just hang around this side. Anyway. So the point is that all of the intricate ways in which everything works. The sun is rising. You can get I have an app. You get an app that tells you just when sunrise is, and it keeps moving because the seasons change. And how can we predict it? Because it's happened that way before. Because it's such a wonderful machine that you know what's going to happen. So all of that, it takes intelligence. And it's really not intelligent to think that all of these intricate things that take intelligence somehow doesn't have intelligence behind it. And then where there's intelligence, there's a person. And there's a supreme person. So in this chapter, Krishna explained at the beginning, you may recall, he declares that I spoke this science millions of years ago to the sun god. And Arjuna, who's covered by Krishna's will, he says, how could that be? We're contemporaries. We're practically the same age. How did you speak this science millions of years ago to the sun god? And Krishna says, oh, many, many births I've had, and so have you. You're with me because you're my intimate friend, but you forgot them all. I don't forget because I don't change my body. So then the question arises, well, why did you speak it? Why did you come to the earth? This is a little different situation. Previously, what's the criterion? And he gives in a few verses, very important verses, why and when he comes. This verse that practically anyone who's born in India, you probably learned it with your mother's milk, right? Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam sajamiham. Did you know that when you were 8 years old? Yes, see? So Krishna says, whenever and wherever there is a discrepancy in the matter of dharma, religion, at that time, I advent myself. And then what does he do? Paratranaya sadhunam, vinashayaja dushkatam, dharma sangstapanataya sambhavami yugege. 3 things. He comes to protect his devotees. This is a central principle of bhakti yoga. As much as we are worshiping Krishna and glorifying him and loving him, he's doing exactly the same for us. He's reciprocating. What is it? No. The one where how they worship me, I reciprocate. Ye yatamam papadyante tam tadaiva bhajamyaham. Mama vartmano vartante manusyak parta sarvasha. As all worship me, I reciprocate. So if we worship Krishna with full love and devotion and dependence, then he'll protect us and he'll reciprocate. That's what bhakti means. It means the reciprocation of relationship, not just that we worship Krishna, but then he also protects us in response. So he comes and he protects the devotees, those who are devoted to him. He destroys the miscreants, those who are against real Dharma, and he reestablishes actual Dharma in the world. And what is that Dharma? It's very simple. That activity which engenders our devotion to Krishna, pure devotion to Krishna. That's explained in another book, the Srimad Bhagavatam, real Dharma. And so in one sense, there's no Dharma in the spiritual world. Everything is spontaneous here. No one is practicing in order to increase their devotion. They're already there. But there's also a way of, this is Sanatan Dharma. Dharma there means the intrinsic activity of anything. Everything has a Dharma. Just like this chair, I like to point out, it has a Dharma. You sit down and it holds you up. Now, if it's defective, we had a bunch of plastic chairs. Sometimes they would collapse. We got new ones. These are much... So you sit down and it collapsed. Oh, the so-called chair is not fulfilling its Dharma. You have sugar, it's got to be sweet, right? If you put salt in the sweet rice by mistake, oh, it's not sweet rice anymore. It's a blut prep, right? So, in this chapter, Krishna explains why he comes and when he comes, and then he's describing the theme of the chapter is transcendental knowledge. Without transcendental knowledge, we don't know what to do for our own benefit. This is coming up in our morning class also. That there's this confrontation between little Prahlad Maharaj, who's 5 years old, but he's a realized soul. And he's born into a family of demons. His father is the biggest demon in the universe. He's so powerful that even the demigods are bowing down to him. He's performed such incredible austerities. And he's an arch enemy of Krishna. Because Krishna, in the form of a transcendental boar, killed his brother Hiranyaksha. So Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, even the names are important. Hiranyaksha means he who was always looking for gold. He's always, and in other words, unlimited greed. His brother also has Hiranya in his name, Hiranyakashipu. So he's also after gold, and also, soft cushion, soft bed, and as Prabhupada said, and the bed companion. I don't have to go further with that. So that's it. It's sensuality and money and power. That's demonic, Krishna describes. And what happens to the demons? They get crushed by the material energy, or by Krishna directly. The more that you deviate or you violate the universal law, and that's what we're learning here, what real Dharma is. What is Dharma? In a few words, Dharma to Sakshat Bhagavat Panitam. Dharma is the word of God. Well, how can I understand the word of God? I can't hear it, That's what the Bhagavad-gītā is. The very word Bhagavad-gītā means the song of God. Now, how can I believe that? Someone just made it up, And this is where text 34 comes in. Text 34 is a central verse in this chapter because it tells the importance of surrendering and working according to the Guru, the spiritual master. Tadvidi padipatena padiprashnena sevya ubidakshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshini. Here's the word jnana keeps coming up, that's knowledge. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Tattvadarshi. So a real guru is not someone who, with a long beard and, the actual is that he knows the Shastra, he's realized it, he or she, yes, has realized it through practice, and is willing to teach. This is an acharya, this is a synonym. Acharya means someone who is living according to the tenets of the scripture perfectly, and knows it, and lives it, and then teaches. And so someone who is in that role, and who is realized, we need to get the knowledge from them because they can see things that we can't see. And they see through the eyes of knowledge. I always just give this example from my own life. It's a simple example. When I was a kid, I grew up near New York, and we go into the museums. They have all these museums there, you know? And some of them are art museums, you know? So I'd be fascinated. There's Rembrandt and, you know, Michelangelo. I remember Guernica of Picasso. I don't, you know that. It's like he painted it. It was during World War II, and it was a little town that was bombed by the Nazis, you know. And he evoked the terror of, you know, being bombed like that. So I became a little bit familiar with it, but I didn't really know the intricacies of what's going on in the paintings, you know. And so then when I grew up a little bit, and I was like 15, 16, my parents bought me these series of books on fine art. And you could, each era, you know, of the art and the different painters, Italian painters and everything. And I learned some of the standards and why they were doing this and the lighting and, you know, a little more. So then when I saw the paintings again, I got more out of it. Now the perfect example is right here on the wall. Someone walks in here, they don't know anything, they're just curious, you know. And they say, well, those are really pretty nice paintings. I wonder what that's all about, you know. Oh, there's a couple in the forest. But someone who's a Ram Bhakta, you know, and once he said, oh, there's Sita Ram, you know, and there's, you know, Lakshman there, and they know, and so they have a different experience through knowledge, because they know. So the more that we get, imbibe this knowledge and live it according to it, the more that we'll be able to see Krishna in everything. He makes it really easy. He said, you know, the first step, it's almost like the universal form. You know, well, I can't really see God in His spiritual form, but I can see the mountains, and I say, oh, the mountains are the bones of the universal form. You know, the rivers. Or simply put, in the 7th chapter we're coming on, Krishna described these are all my energies, everything, the material energies we have, the solid matter and the gases and the liquids and the radiant energy and space and even our mind. These are all energies of Krishna that He's provided. So that we can have a material world where we can pretend to be Him and finally get straight and go back to the spiritual world. But there has to be a world where we can forget, and this is it. So in the 7th chapter, he goes, it very systematically goes, earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are my material energies. Then he tells us, you know, I am the I am the taste of water. Now, how is God the taste of water? Well, it is He who made the water, He who made our tongue, He who made our mind, intelligence, so that we can taste. So He's provided all the things by which we can. So when you taste water, you can remember Krishna. He says here. So this is a way of remembering Krishna and seeing Him in the material world. It's a first step. And if we keep practicing that and so many other principles, then eventually we'll be able to see Krishna in His original form behind everything. You see what I'm saying? And even in our own hearts. There's a wonderful verse in a book or a poem called the Brahma Samhita. Some of you may know this verse. Premanjana chudita bhakti vilochenena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yang shyam sundadamachindu gunaswarupam govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. That last line is the refrain line. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord. Those who have smeared their eyes with the salve of prema, of love, in other words, who have purified their vision to such a degree that they're seeing Krishna within and without, and purified, they see that beautiful Shyama Sundar form of Krishna within their hearts at every moment, in love. It's premanjana. The whole point of bhakti is to awaken our original, but now obscured, love for God. And through that love, to love everybody. And feel the kinship with every living being, especially human beings, but every being. And that's why the first thing, no more meat eating. You know, you don't need it. I've been a vegetarian longer than I've been a Hare Krishna. And this is I'll be 51 years in March in Hare Krishna. A few years before that, I became a vegetarian for health reasons. But there's no need. I'm walking, I'm dancing, I'm singing, I'm thinking. No meat for all these years, no fish, no eggs. So it's absolutely unnecessary. You know, it's just for the taste titillation, which is unnecessary. And for that, there's massive slaughterhouses It's the biggest creator of greenhouse gases, isn't it? You read it. You know, a huge decrease in those gases if everyone became a vegetarian. And there's no reason not to. Just the taste buds. So that's the beginning, and you find that it's wonderful to walk down the street and you realize you have a kinship with everybody. We're all souls, God brothers, God sisters, spiritual beings. It's the only basis for true equality, fraternity, and all these things. You know, otherwise we identify with the externals. Oh, this race, this other person is coming in to take my land. They have a different language. You know. All right, we'll keep them out, or we'll make slaves out of them. That'll even better. You know. Because everyone's existing and seeing on the externals. But these are just our coats. It said, what are you wearing that dark coat for? This is the color. You know, it's ridiculous. It's absurd. But when you see, oh, there's a spirit soul, he's another servant of God, Hare Krishna. You see? So this is what knowledge is, and this is what he's come to at the end. By the force of knowledge, one who acts in devotional service, which basically here in this chapter means giving the fruits of your action to Krishna as much as possible, without covering them for your own, which just builds up the false ego. We want to try to attain our real ego, real sense of self. Krishna said all of us are pure spirit souls, and we're all ultimately servants of Krishna, of God. But now we're still servants, but we're not serving God. We're serving our senses, serving our boss, serving our wife, serving our husband. You know, there's a million things we're serving, but it's not Krishna. And those services don't lead us anywhere but again to another birth. With the knowledge, if you have faith in that one point, that was spirit, not matter. And it's actually wonderful to realize, oh, we'll never die. But now comes the struggle, the task. How can I, because another basic principle of Krishna consciousness, the consciousness you have, the dominant thoughts that you have, but when you leave the body, that's what determines your next life. That and your karma, the subtle forces. But that's what's going to determine it. So some people say, who cares? I'll forget. But no, you'll be suffering like anything. If you take the body of a dog or a tree, or you spend time in the other place, there's no eternal damnation in Krishna consciousness, but there is hells. We just read the 5th canto a few months ago. It describes it. Yeah. If we cause so much suffering, unnecessary suffering, you know, and we're vicious people, then there are higher powers that is going to punish us for that. So we don't want that. So this is all knowledge. You may believe it or not believe it, but the amount of faith you have. Remember, he was emphasizing the faith. If you're full of doubts, then you're in trouble. But jnana sanchina sankshayam, if you follow it nicely, your knowledge will cut those doubts. Eliminate. And yoga sanyasta karmanam means you're giving up the fruits of the activity in yoga, in linking to Krishna. Atmavantam na karmani, so all of your works, there's no bondage. You're situated in the self, the pure self. Nibbadnanti dhananjaya. No, they do not ever bind you. So you're not bound up by the fruits of your work. Otherwise, whether it's good karma or bad karma, it's going to make you come back again to a material body. These bodies are not really ourself. There's sources of a little bit of pleasure and a lot of suffering. So the intelligent thing, the logical thing, is to do work to develop our understanding of our spiritual body, our eternal body, our swarup. And if we succeed in this one life, then this will be our last embodiment in physical, you know, and we'll attain our original swarup. It's some relationship to Krishna, as a servant, as a friend, as a parent, as one of the gopis or the queens or whatever. There'll be a relationship. And we'll be happy in that relationship and completely ecstatic. We can't even imagine how blissful it will be. But we get a taste of it if we practice on this level. So that's what Krishna is saying here. Nibbadnanti, they're not bound. We will not be bound by the reactions of a work if we act in devotional service in full knowledge, which is available by Srila Prabhupada's great effort and mercy. Okay, any questions or discussion on these points? Otherwise, we'll proceed. I think this is the last verse of the chapter. We'll complete it tonight. Yes, Prabhu. Take it.
Thanks. At the beginning of the lecture, you talked about how none of us really have any power, and that it's an illusion of power, and that really the more effective way forward is to realize our dependency and our obedience. But as we look around, it sure seems like some people have more power than others in this world. Yeah. And I'm just wondering if you would just comment on that. It seems like
it's not that we have no power. It's that the power what we have, whatever it may be, goes to our head. And we think that, I'm a controller. In other words, I have my realm of control, and some people are trying to control whole countries or the whole world or whatever. The point is that sense of independence. We have minute independence. It's not that we don't have it, because Krishna has unlimited independence. We're part and parcel. We have that independence. But when we misuse it to try to exploit this material energy or other living beings, human beings, cows, whatever, then that is completely unnatural, and it's in the realm of where we're going to suffer from that, because it's against the laws of God. We're meant to be forces of good for everyone, including the cows. What to speak of all the other human beings. Lord Chaitanya's movement is built on realization for oneself, and then giving that to everyone. Realizing that, this is really how one can be happy. Just think of this little simple idea. And that is that in the material consciousness, in order to be happy or experience pleasure, we need to get something and have it contact our senses, or at least contact our mind. Isn't it? In other words, bring something from the outside. But that may or may not be there. And so many things from the outside can also be painful. Horribly painful. It's just a question of, our particular situation. But in Krishna consciousness, you learn how to access the reservoir of pleasure, and we have a pamphlet, some of you may remember that, that's in your heart already. When you're chanting Hare Krishna and you're really listening and you're experiencing, there's a pleasure there, and we should know that that's just an inkling of the amount of pleasure you can really experience. Because Krishna, if God is anything, He's omnipotent. Right? He's omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent, meaning He's with us at every moment. So He's full of bliss. We're part and parcel of Him. Why aren't we all full of bliss all the time? Because we don't want it. We want to try to be independently happy and imitate Him. But it's unnatural, and we just make a mess of it, and we suffer like anything. So turning again to Krishna and serving Him, beginning with the chanting of the holy name. We may not even feel like service, we're just practicing yoga, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But that's enough. Your mind is on Krishna. And there's a certain inkling of pleasure there. That's how the movement started and how it's growing. Because Prabhupada gave this gift that was given by God Himself as Lord Chaitanya. It was there in the Vedas, but He popularized it and made it the center of the yoga process. And there's no hard and fast rules. Anyone, anytime, anywhere can chant Hare Krishna. And it works. I've been doing this for 51 years now, almost. And it's as fresh as it was the day I started, if not more. The Hare Krishna mantra does not get stale. Try that with some kind of the songs that were being played in 1973. You're going to try to sing those for a while? No, thank you. I heard that one already. And the mind, the material mind, is sometimes it rejects also Hare Krishna. Didn't you just chant that? Let's think of something else. But that's Maya. There is an infinite, because it's Krishna, the holy name is Krishna, that in itself, wrap your mind around it. But that's what it is. And if you really chant and you hear very carefully, and you try to pray with it, but you basically chant and hear nicely, you will experience a transcendental pleasure that's not dependent on anything else. It's just dependent on your ability to remember the name and to chant it and vibrate it, which you can do practically your whole life. So, and the idea is that it becomes more and more. The more purified you are, the more you're experiencing. And we have testimony from great devotees like Rupa Goswami and Lord Chaitanya about the Sanatana Goswami. He has this beautiful verse about the holy name. Near the beginning of his book, his main book is Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So he says, Jaya 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 Jaya, Jayati Jayati Namananda Rupam Murare Vidamitinaj Dharma Jnana Pujadi Yatnam Sakadapipadi Katamapi Sakadatam Muktidam Praninam Yat Padamamamritamekam Jivanam Bhushanam Me. So he says, oh glories to the holy name, which is the very form of bliss, Namananda Rupam Murari, the name of Murari. It's another name for Krishna, the enemy of Muradi. Vidamita Nijadharma. By chanting this name, you give up all your materialistic involvement in this duty, that duty, and forget it. If someone chants it just once, in purity or not such purity, it'll eliminate all lifetimes of karma. This is the blessing of Krishna. Katamapi sakradatam muktinam praninam yat padamamamritamekam. It is my supreme and soul nectar, this holy name. Ekam jivanam is my very life and my only ornament, the name of Krishna. And here he is, he's sitting there as austere as you can be. He was a prime minister in the government of Nawab Hussain Shah. And his brother was the finance minister, Rupa Goswami. And they had all the money and pomp and everything at their disposal. But when they met Lord Chaitanya, he said, go to Vrindavan and become my prime disciple. And they gave it all up. Rupa Goswami cashed out. He had a big boatload full of pure gold. How much would that be worth today? To figure, 1,000 pounds, 2,000 pounds, a ton of gold. In the billions. And he was just cashing it out. He gave half of it to the Brahmins. He gave a quarter of it to his relatives. Probably said, could they expect something? And then the rest of it he put in reserve, because he figured his brother would have to use it, and he did. He had to bribe the jailer so he could get out of jail and then go to Vrindavan. So how did they live? Coming from that monarchy. I mean, they're living like kings. So they became as austere as possible. They're always chanting Hare Krishna, they're serving Lord Chaitanya, thinking of Krishna. Wandering from tree to tree in Vrindavan, living under a different tree every night, sleeping, an hour and a half or 2 hours a night, hardly eating anything, that they could get a little rice, but they were most blissful. Most blissful. There's a beautiful verse I have to share with you. This is in a song about the six Goswamis, many of you know it. Chakva turna mashesha mandala pati shening sadat tuchavat bhutva dina ganeshako kaduniya kopina kantashito gopi bhavada samratabda lahadi kallo lamagno mahur vande rupa sanatano raghuyago shi jiva gopalago. So I offer my obeisance to the six Goswamis, the six of them, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana, and the other four, I won't go with them. And so what does it say? Exactly what I was describing. That after meeting Lord Chaitanya, Chaktva Turnam, this word Turnam is important. They didn't wait around. Maybe they'll change their mind. I really should consider this. Let's wait a week or two. No. Immediately, Chaktva Turnam, a shesham under the endless influence and pomp and aristocracy. Gave it up. Turnam. As insignificant. Tuchabat. And Bhutva Dina Ganeshako, for the sake of the souls, us, us fools who don't know anything, because they're working in Lord Chaitanya's movement. They took on rejected clothes and they wandered around in Vrindavan, living as austerely as possible, from the richest to the poorest externally. But they were experiencing within Gopi Bhavara Samatabda Lali Kallola Magnam. They were swimming and rising in the ocean of the highest, sweetest nectar of the gopis' love for Krishna. They were at that highest point. So the point is that we may, it looks like we're giving so many things up, but it's actually simply a way in which we can get the most valuable thing that there is. Way more valuable than, I sometimes walk around the block here, and in the corner there's a lottery. It used to be, it's $50 million. Now nobody even looks at it unless it's up to $500 million. They have $1 billion. Let me see what I can do. Maybe I can get it. The devotees say, no. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's a perfect thing because it's against the regular principles. If you win, then everyone's going to know, hey, you broke the regular principles. So you can't hang out with the devotees anymore. Forget it. I'd rather not win. Although some devotees, it's silly. But that's the great value of Krishna Kanda. As soon as you experience some of the real bliss of it, it says, how could I ever have thought that was valuable? No more. I don't even have a taste for it anymore. So many different things that we try to enjoy. So that's what this chapter is, chapter 4. You know, but the principles, of course, are universal. The idea of not being attached to the fruits of your action, what you need to live, but don't get involved in getting and spending things. You know, it'll distract you. And giving as much to Krishna and cultivating the transcendental knowledge, because that knowledge is the real treasure. And that knowledge will, in the knowledge and realized knowledge by practice, your doubts will be gone. It's very hard. Really? God is a blue boy with a flute? I don't know about that. Let me see. You know, that doesn't compute. He says doubts, so many doubts. But we have these great realized souls explaining, yes, he's the most beautiful, attractive, you know, loving person. Not some white light, not some impersonal thing. And so by that testimony, we have faith that, okay, I'm going to practice and go step by step so that I can approach that. So that faith in Srila Prabhupada and his, you know, the sincere followers who are carrying forward the movement is a very important aspect in our devotional service, and that's what's being mentioned here. All right, so I'm going to read the last one, okay? Is that okay? That's the best I can do. Tasmad ajnana sambhutam ritstam jnana sinatmanaha chitvainam sankshayam yogam atishtotishtha bharata. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. Purport. The yoga system instructed in this chapter is called Sanatan Yoga, or eternal activities performed by the living entity. This yoga has two divisions of sacrificial actions. One is called sacrifice of one's material possessions, and the other is called knowledge of self, which is pure spiritual activity. If sacrifice of one's material possessions is not dovetailed for spiritual realization, then such sacrifice becomes material. But one who performs such sacrifices with a spiritual objective or in devotional service makes a perfect sacrifice. When we come to spiritual activities, we find that these are also divided into two, namely understanding of one's own self or one's constitutional position, and the truth regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who follows the path of the Bhagavad-gītā as it is can very easily understand that these two important divisions of spiritual knowledge. For him, there is no difficulty in obtaining perfect knowledge of the self as part and parcel of the Lord. And such understanding is beneficial, for such a person can easily understand the transcendental activities of the Lord. In the beginning of this chapter, the transcendental activities of the Lord were discussed by the Supreme Lord himself. One who does not understand the instructions of the Gita is faithless, and is to be understood to be misusing the fragmental independence awarded to him by the Lord. In spite of such instructions, one who does not understand the real nature of the Lord as the eternal, blissful, all-knowing personality of Godhead is certainly fool number one. Ignorance can be removed by gradual acceptance of the principles of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is awakened by different types of sacrifices to the demigods, sacrifice to Brahman, sacrifice in celibacy, in household life, in controlling the senses, in practicing mystic yoga, in penance, in foregoing material possessions, in studying the Vedas, and in partaking of the social institution called Varnashram Dharma. All of these are known as sacrifice, and all of them are based on regulated action. But within all these activities, the important factor is self-realization. One who seeks that objective is the real student of the Bhagavad-gītā. But one who doubts the authority of Krishna falls back. One is therefore advised to study the Bhagavad-gītā or any other scripture under a bona fide spiritual master with service and surrender. A bona fide spiritual master is in the disciplic succession from time eternal, and he does not deviate at all from the instructions of the Supreme Lord as they were imparted millions of years ago to the Sun God, from whom the instructions of the Bhagavad-gītā have come down to the earthly kingdom. One should therefore follow the path of the Bhagavad-gītā as it is expressed in the Gita itself, and beware of self-interested people after personal aggrandizement who deviate others from the actual path. The Lord is definitely the Supreme Person, and his activities are transcendental. One who understands this is a liberated person from the very beginning of his study of the Bhagavad Gita. Thus end the Bhagavatam purports of the 4th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad-gītā in the matter of transcendental knowledge. Okay. When we come to spiritual activities, you find these are divided into two, namely understanding of one's own self or one's constitutional position, and the truth regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this really quickly, we don't have time. We have to start these classes earlier, maybe. And there's the different kinds of jnana. There's sambandha jnana, and there's what is it? Prayojana and abhideya. Thank you. Sorry, I'm getting a little senile here. So all of these are important to understand. The first is sambandha jnana, and sambandha means relationship. So relation between what? Who is God? Who are we? What is this world that we live in? And what is the relationship between them? So it includes, how did the creation take place? That's also described in detail, not here, but in the Bhagavatam. And here it's given in summary. So how did this creation come into being? Who are we in relation to Krishna? You know, mamai bangso jiva loke, we're part and parcel of God. We're eternal servants of Him, but we've forgotten. And what is this world? How did it come to be? What is its constituents? We'll find more details in the 7th chapter, the 3 modes of nature described later. All of this is part of this sambandha jnana. And once we understand the relationship and what our nature is, then we can, with faith, enter into the practice, abhideya jnana. And there's so many details of that we find in the books. And then, but what's the goal of it all? The prayojana jnana. We should actually have that from the very beginning. You know, it's another way of thinking of this sadhya and sadhana, isn't it? Sadhana takes you to the sadhya. What is the goal? The goal is to get love of Krishna, and along with that, we'll get the subsidiary goals of liberation from birth and death. And we will get understanding and reinstitution in our Sarup, our original relation with Krishna. And we'll be completely satisfied and back in our original constitutional position. So all of that is promised, and the Sambandha Gyan is given in detail. Here we get some of it in the Bhagavad-gītā. It's also explained nicely in Bhagavatam Chaitanya Charitamrita. The teachings to Lord Chaitanya, of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami describes it. So that's what's described. Who are we? What is this world? Self-realization. What is this world? And who is the probably real knowledge means knowledge of spirit, matter, spirit, and the controller of both. Matter is all that we see around us, including our own body. Spirit, that's us, the spirit soul. Controller of both, Krishna. You see, but understanding the nature of each of those and their relationships, that's real study. And you can't just do it on your own. It's not going to, by material science, you can't find that out. But that's revealed by Krishna in the Bhagavad-gītā and in the more detail in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then on the basis of that understanding, then we practice. Because we want to get back to that stage where we don't identify with the material body, we're not trying to enjoy the material world. Rather, material or spiritual, we use everything at our disposal for connecting to Krishna in service and love. And that is what the practice of bhakti is. So that was Prabhupada's great effort. This temple, these books, the deities, everything we have here are a result of Prabhupada's great effort in serving Krishna, and he awarded him with success in manifesting them. And so these are like little oases in the material world. You just walk a few feet down to the corner and you're in the bar, away from this oasis. But you've all made the right decision. You stopped walking and you came in the door. All right, any final question or comment? Otherwise, yes, go ahead. But wait, we have a mic because we have an audience in YouTube and everything.
Yeah, I have a quick question here where it says, one is advised to study Bhagavad-gītā or any other scripture. What other scriptures are they meaning in that?
Yeah, well, but we have Bhagavad-gītā is the basis of our scripture. But there is another book called the Srimad Bhagavatam, okay, which is also takes these themes and expands them in much greater detail. And then there's even that. So this is the advanced class. Then there's the postgraduate. Then there's the the graduate class, the postgraduate, we have another book called Chaitanya Charitamrita. So basically the corpus of books that Prabhupada gave us is complete in itself. And we should understand, they also draw from other books. Prabhupada will be quoting so many other Shastra in the purports here. Oh, it says this in this Upanishad and so many things. So you're really getting the essence and the gist of all of the corpus. And it all just boils down to the process of purification and cultivating our natural devotion and love for God, you know, and learning who He is and what He's doing and why all attractive He is. And so I'd like to leave a little time for a poem. We have maybe a minute or two, because that's my signature. So, okay. Well, this is a nice one. This is a prayer to have the lotus of Krishna's face manifest in the lake of your heart, growing in the lake. So the Sanskrit is very beautiful. Smita duchi makadanda, Rupa Goswami. Smita duchi makadanda syandivaktrarabindam tavapata patahangsan vishtagandham mukunda. Vidachita pashupali netra saranga rangam mamadidiyata dage sangamangi karotu. From the lotus of your face, dear Lord, trickles forth the luscious nectar of the beauty of your smile. Your exalted devotees, great swans, seek the fragrance of that lotus which their hearts beguile. Your beloved gopis' eyes, mad bees, takes the most exquisite pleasure in that lotus of your face. O my dear Mukunda Dev, I pray, may the lake of my poor heart be by that lotus ever graced. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. So when those curtains open, you just take a look at Krishna's beautiful face, and you'll see what inspired this poem in Rupa Goswami. Hare Krishna. All right, great. We'll begin chapter 5 on Monday.